You said ready.
Hi, Mom.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Good, good. So are you having a good day?
Yeah, I'm having a good day.
Good, good. So you got 90th birthday coming up pretty soon.
Yep, it's
That
not
was-
far off.
I know. Can you believe it's been 90 years?
No, I can't.
So, what do you think? What when you think back over 90 years, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What do you think of?
It's kind of hard to say.
Yeah,
I think my wedding.
of your wedding. That's good. So, describe what your wedding was like? What was that like?
Oh, it was people telling me what to do, and they were busy baking angel food cake. That's what was for our dessert.
Yeah,
And we had buns with ham on them,
yeah.
and not the funeral ham.
No, not funeral ham.
No.
What? Real ham.
Yeah, real ham. And we didn't. We had ice cream that was what do you call it? Variegated.
Oh,
Yeah.
that Neapolitan?
Yeah, Neapolitan ice cream.
Oh, okay.
And that was supposed to be really new.
Yeah. Oh, that's neat. So did that have frosting on the cake too, or just?
Oh yeah, they frosted them. And had,
Yeah. Yeah. So you said everybody was telling you what to do. What were they all telling you where to go and everything? Somebody else
Oh.
was planning the whole thing?
One uncle told me if I thought it was right, I was getting married.
Oh, who was that?
Pete DeYoung.
Oh boy.
And I said, well, yeah. And he says, well, they have to pay you $50 a month then.
Oh,
And
the military, because Dad was going
Yeah,
to.
I had heard of the government. And anyhow, I said, well, I don't care.
I'm getting married. That's
I'm
right.
getting married. It was the day I was getting married to
What?
him giving me a,
Giving you a lecture, huh?
yeah,
Oh, that was kind of discouraging.
I was kind of mad at him.
Yeah. What was your mom? Was she nervous?
I don't know, she seemed to be right in there.
Yeah. Who was planning it all?
Oh, my mom and Jen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good. What about Hen? Was she married already?
No, she was there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But she was younger.
Yeah, she was 5 years younger than me.
Oh, yeah.
She was 15. Could care less whether I was getting married or not.
How old were you when you and Dad met?
Well, I was 16 when I met him.
Oh, how'd you meet him?
Well, first he worked for my dad in
Oh.
the summertime.
Oh, okay. In Edgerton, by Steen?
Yeah, or Beaver Creek, really.
Mm-hmm.
But then I didn't start going with him, really. When I was 16, I went to California with Bill Vanderhaar, Esther, and Hank and Elma.
Oh, okay.
And then I started going with him.
Oh, so what was your first date?
We went roller skating.
Oh, really? Where at?
In Long Beach.
Yeah. What was the roller rink like?
Oh, it was huge. I thought it was big anyway.
Hey,
So,
was that the first time you ever went to California?
oh yeah. That's the first time I went there.
Yeah, you drove.
Yeah, it took us 2 weeks to get there.
Oh my goodness, what kind of car?
I don't know.
Oh.
We cooked all the way up here.
You camped too then? Or
Well,
did you
we-
stay in a hotel?
Steve stayed in a hotel, and I don't know. Bill Vanderhaar knew some people coming up here, and we stayed by them on the weekend. And went to church with them, and I remember she baked pie while we was going to church.
Oh, my
We
goodness.
thought that was really something.
That's a big sin, huh?
Yeah.
Weren't supposed to bake on Sunday.
No.
But you ate it.
Yeah, yeah, we ate it. It was good. Really, it was a good meal.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So when you went out roller skating, did those other people go with you then?
Well, there was other people that Dad knew,
Okay.
and I knew some people around
Yeah.
here a little bit.
So did you kiss on the first date?
No.
So then what? How'd you?
Well,
then
first
what?
place we had an awful time getting off of the yard by Ben Skilder. That was my uncle.
Oh,
And the boys would lift the car up, and
Oh, is this your first date back in Minnesota?
No,
Oh.
here.
Oh, okay.
And anyhow, they would hold that car back, and finally, well, they left the school.
So did you sit right next
Embarrassing.
to him?
Well, sure, you could sit right next to him.
Did he put his arm on your knee or anything?
No.
Well, I thought maybe he'd be kind of feisty. So then you went roller skating,
Yeah.
and then what'd you do after roller skating?
I don't know if we did anything. Maybe we went for ice cream soda or something. I don't know.
So how much did it cost to go roller skating?
I wouldn't know, but maybe 25 cents. I don't
Oh
know.
boy, you had to rent skates too.
Oh, sure.
Did
yeah.
you know how to roller skate?
Yeah, I knew how to roller skate.
Oh, when did you learn how to roller skate?
Oh, we'd go to Lake Okoboji. We went, and then we'd roller skate there.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't have roller skates at home,
Yeah,
but
that was for,
yeah,
you didn't get that.
no, I should say not.
How often did you get to go roller skating?
Once a year, maybe.
Oh, that's good. So you had your first date in California, then what happened? Did you have another date there too?
Oh yeah.
How long did you stay there?
We were gone 6 weeks in all,
Oh, okay. So
but I don't know if
you were there about 2 weeks. So you were dating him the whole time.
Yeah.
Did your mom and dad know that?
No.
Mm. Did they like that?
Oh yeah, there's nothing wrong with him.
Yeah, yeah. So then when did he first kiss you?
I don't remember that.
Oh, so what did you do on your second or other dates? What was some things you did?
Oh, usually we were gone to Young People's Society, and then
Oh.
afterwards he'd take me home.
Oh, okay.
Wasn't much to do.
Yeah, but you would sit together at church and
Oh, yeah.
Young People's Society.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you came home, and then what happened? How did you guys keep in touch?
Well, he came to Minnesota to work in the summertime.
Okay. So
But he-
was that in the summer that you had gone over there to
No,
California?
it was in the wintertime.
Oh.
I think I was there for my birthday.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
December.
Yeah. Mhm.
Did he buy you a birthday present?
No.
What was he doing in California? Milking?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. All right. So he came back to then in the summertime and he worked for your dad?
No, then he worked for movie
Oh.
on the farm.
But then he started calling you.
Well, we didn't call
Were
on the
you-
phone. We
you-
didn't have a phone.
Oh yeah. Were so you were 16 when you went to California?
Yeah. No, so I had my birthday there. I was 17.
17. And how old was dad? So you would have been 19?
Yeah.
Okay. So then he came back and then what?
Well, he worked for movie from May until September. Then
Okay.
he went back to California.
Okay.
And then he worked there in the wintertime. And then he came back in March.
Oh.
And it was very muddy.
Yeah?
He got stuck on the road.
Oh, coming to your house?
Yeah. And he walked. And then he said the worst thing I gave him was a cup of tea.
Ooh, he didn't like tea.
No.
Oh, so what did he? What did you do on your first date when he was back that time then?
Boy, I don't know.
Hmm. So it was 19. So then, how many years did you date?
Till I was 20.
Till you were
I was
20?
21. Really,
Oh,
when I-
so you dated from 17, 18, 19, 20, 5 years.
Yeah, a long time.
Okay. So then he got drafted.
Well, then he went back to California, see.
Okay.
And then you had to report at the draft board right away if you moved.
Right.
And he did, and then he got into the service about the 26th of January
Of what year?
in 42.
Okay. So then.
No, it was 41.
Okay. All right. Then he went So he got in service. Then he went to boot camp and stuff.
Yeah, he was in Camp McCoy. No, not Camp McCoy. Camp Roberts, California,
Okay.
for 3 months. But the year before that, though, he sent me a cedar chest.
Oh wow, from California.
Hmm.
Wow, that was pretty nice. That was pretty serious.
Yeah. So, and then my dad was going to go to Uncle John's 25th wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
I don't know, us kids all had the flu. We couldn't go away. And he threw his hat in the cedar chest, and the key was in there.
Oh.
So, but it was just a flat key with a little hook on it, so he made another key, and he got his hat out to go to the wedding.
In the meantime, it's probably smelled like cedar.
I don't know. I guess maybe it did.
So, when did you get a ring from him?
Then he came back, and then I got a ring before he went to California, and then he got drafted,
Okay.
and then he came home on a leave in December.
And that's when but you didn't know he was coming home for that leave.
Well,
till
I
that.
knew he was coming sometime, but I didn't know when.
So how long did you have to plan the wedding then?
Well, he came home on Thursday, and we got married on Friday night.
Did you buy your dress?
Yeah.
Did you have it bought ahead
Yeah.
of time?
Yeah.
Oh.
I paid $5 for my dress.
Oh, where did you buy your dress?
Shriver and Johnson.
In Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
And it was fit perfect?
Yeah.
No alterations was needed?
Well, my mom had to make alterations the morning of the wedding because I had lost so much weight.
Because you were worried about Dad?
Yeah.
So then did you go on a honeymoon?
No, didn't have time for a honeymoon. He had to go back to the army.
And then what? So then what happened?
Then he had I couldn't go with him because he had to go on what do you call it? Maneuvers. Right away when he got back, and that lasted till March. And then I went down there.
Where'd you go?
Texas.
Okay.
He was stationed in Abilene, Fort Camp. No, I can't think of it.
Where did you stay when you were there? On the base?
No, I stayed in a house uptown, just a
You
room.
rented one?
Huh?
You rented it?
Yeah.
So did Dad stay there with you then, or?
Well, sometimes he couldn't. He had to be back.
Right. So that was from what month to what month?
March until September.
Okay.
But then in the meantime, we were home for a furlough
Okay.
in June,
Okay.
and then I remember had rained so terrible much the train had to go through water.
Oh boy. So how long did it take you to get from the train to home?
I think maybe it was like 2 days and a night or something. I don't quite remember.
Did
that
you
for
pack
sure.
your lunch?
No, I don't remember that. I think it had to stop certain places for so long, and then we would run in and get something to eat.
Right. Right.
So that's what it was.
So what did you do when you were in Texas in Abilene? What did you do in the meantime while he was training?
Well, sometimes I'd clean house for some guys that were corporals or that were lieutenants or something.
Mm-hmm. Did you make friends down there?
No, not really. Well, I knew Ruth Dewald,
Mm-hmm.
and she went with me when I went there in March, and she
Oh,
went
okay.
too. We met in Sioux City,
Okay.
and I didn't sleep the whole night because there was a guy in the room next to me, and I could hear him packing around, and I thought, boy, I don't know.
This was on the train, or in a hotel?
In a
Sioux
hotel.
City? Oh, okay.
Then we got on the bus.
Oh, and you took the bus down to Abilene?
Yeah, bus was cheaper than train.
How much was that?
I think it cost. I'm not sure, but I think the bus cost $35.
Oh, good. Wow.
It
For the
sounds-
whole trip.
Yeah,
That's cheap.
yeah. We thought it was plenty.
Yeah. So you took the train and you came back for furlough in June, and then in September you had to go back.
No,
Or-
then we went back right away
In-
in June.
Yeah.
We were home about 10 days or something.
Right.
And then we went back again.
Okay.
And then
And
I was there until September. In September. I
Yeah.
don't know exactly how long.
And then what?
Well, then he went to California on maneuvers. And he would be gone all week, but then I could stay by John and Effie. So I went down there.
Oh, okay.
And then, let's see, then he had to go to New Jersey in January, and I went home.
Okay.
And then he got to New Jersey, and then he turned around and he came to Minnesota on a furlough.
Oh,
And the Army did dumb things.
still does.
Yeah.
So when did you find out you were pregnant?
I imagine that summer.
Yeah. So were you excited?
Well, yeah. In a way we were, but in a way we weren't.
Right, because you knew he was going to have to go.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it was pretty scary. So then when did he leave?
Well, he came home on our leave in January. Then after he went to New Jersey, and then I was home.
Right.
And then he, let's see. I couldn't go long back, and because they were on alert to go
Right.
overseas, and he went back, and I think he was home like 2 weeks, and then Lee was born in March, and he went on the boat the same day.
The same day Lee was born.
Hmm.
So he left from New Jersey.
Yeah.
So what did you do the day when Lee was born? How did you react?
I was in the hospital.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Cry or?
I suppose I cried. I don't know. I can't quite remember. I just remember that Hannah Dries came to see me and she started to cry, so that didn't help anything.
So did you have a long labor?
Yep. Long time.
Yeah. So who was there? Was a
My
doctor
mom.
there?
The
Your
doctor
mom?
was there. My mom was there. So, anyhow.
Was that just kind of a blur?
Yeah, kind of.
So then how long were you in the hospital?
I don't really quite remember, but I think about 7 days maybe. So, it wasn't so long.
Right. Oh. What did Grandpa Dad have to ask Grandpa to marry you? Did he ask?
Yeah, he asked him.
How did he ask?
Well, we were riding to Vern. We had to go get our wedding license that same day.
Oh.
And then,
Oh, so he didn't ask before you got engaged.
no.
So you went to get the license and then what?
Well, then we came home and we had to work for the wedding a little bit. My
Uh-huh.
dad built an arch,
Yeah.
and we covered it with crepe paper and made little flowers. And
So did Dad ask him before you went and got the license or after?
go on the way up there.
Oh, Dad. Oh, Grandpa was with you.
Yeah.
Oh. So what did he say to him?
Well, if it was okay.
Yeah, and what did Grandpa say?
Yeah, he said that was all right.
Oh. So then after the war, when Dad got home, or during the war when Dad was gone, I guess, what was it like to live with your parents and have a little boy and have him gone to war?
It was horrible. The worst part of it was we had a hired man. He'd always tell me all the bad things of war.
Oh boy. But you saved war clippings.
Yeah. And they're still in the books or someplace.
So how did you find all those?
Well, just cut them out of the newspaper.
Yeah. And you'd follow the 91st?
Yeah.
you knew exactly.
Well, we didn't always know where he was.
Right.
Like when the Battle of the Bulge, we didn't hear from him for about 6 weeks. And that was always, if you didn't hear for about 6 weeks, was not a very good sign. But he was fine.
Yeah. How many weeks was it that you heard?
6 weeks.
Okay.
Never heard nothing.
Oh, he
Then I
would
got a
write
whole
letters.
pile of letters, but then
Okay.
yeah,
So you were pretty worried.
yeah, you bet.
Did you save those letters?
No, I didn't. I wished I would have.
Yeah. What did he all write?
Oh, they couldn't write a whole lot. It was just a little, on a, what do they call it, micro?
A postcard?
Yeah, it was made small, real little writing. The writing was small.
microfilm?
Yeah, microfilm. And that's all it was. It was about as big as a recipe card.
So somebody had scanned it and read it, and then
Yeah,
they
they-
sent it to you.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And if there was anything that they didn't like, it was blacked out.
Oh, okay. Was there much blacked out on his?
Oh, once in a while there'll be something.
Yeah.
They never could write where they were,
Right.
so. But that was really something.
Right. Right. So, did you do a lot of crying?
I don't know, maybe I did. I don't remember. I don't remember.
That was the hard part.
Yeah.
So, did you take a lot of pictures?
Yeah, I did quite a few.
Yeah, you had a camera?
Yeah, I had a camera. Little box.
Yeah. So, do you remember when you were a kid when you first got electricity?
Well, yeah, we were married.
Oh, when you got married.
Well, we didn't have it when we got married, but
Oh, okay.
we got it just before he came home. See, when the war was about over, they were planning to get rural electric,
Right.
and we had to sign up for that, and you had to pay something. And then we got the phone. That was the first time I talked to him on the phone when he got home.
Hmm. It's a party phone.
He was
Party Lane.
yeah,
Where was he?
he was in Camp McCoy, Wisconsin.
How did he know your phone number?
I don't know. Maybe I wrote it to him. I don't know. I can't remember that
How long did he have to stay in Wisconsin?
week
Oh, okay.
before they got the discharge papers.
And then,
Then he met Bill Bosch there. He had been in about the same length of time.
okay.
Then they came home on the train together to Laverne,
Hmm.
and we went and got him.
So what was it like to go pick him up from the train?
I
What was it like to go to pick him up from the train?
I didn't take him along. I didn't take Leroy along because he had never seen him. And only thing is, when he called that he was in Wisconsin, then he said, then Leroy talked to him, and he said, "Hello, Dad."
Oh boy.
Of course, she was told to do that, but then
Right.
uh,
So did Dad ever say how that made him feel?
no, not really. I can't remember that he did,
Yeah.
but it seemed kind of funny to him to see him walk a little kid, and that was his kid.
Right. Right. So one time you told me that you had to take everybody went to meet him at the train and you wished it was just you. Describe how that was.
My folks went with us, and of course everybody was glad to see the home, And then I thought, I wish I could be here alone.
Yeah. Right. And then you moved in with your mom and dad?
Well, until we got, the war had been over since May, and then he couldn't get home. So we kind of planned that we were going to farm with the folks.
Okay.
So then and you couldn't get lumber. So we had a old corn bin, which was made real good for shelled corn.
Right.
And then we finally got enough lumber to put a bedroom in the furniture on. That was a house.
Boy. So was that the same house that Grandma Sprunk lived in and moved to Edgerton?
Yeah, but when she moved it to Edgerton, she built a bathroom on, and no, let's see, yeah. and a little room off of the front room there.
Right.
If you remember that or not.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Hmm.
So she had the. So you had the house that you lived on, and that was by Steen, and that was so you lived with your mom and dad for how long?
Till about Christmas time.
How did that? How was that?
Oh, I was glad to get her my own house. It was all right, but I was glad to get her my own house.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember that we wanted to paint, and Jen and Hen, they says, "Well, we're not working on a holiday. We're going to." They didn't feel like painting.
So did they help?
Oh, they helped. Yeah, they helped a lot, but they didn't help that day.
So you got electricity just before Dad got back. How did you preserve your food before that time?
Well, my folks had a ice box, we called it, and it had like where our refrigerator is on top of the fridge.
Right.
There, just a big. You could buy a big hunk of ice like that, and it just fit right in there.
Okay. All right.
And that lasted about a week. And then the next week you had to go get another.
Right.
And we had a leather sack that we would get it in, so it wouldn't melt on the way home.
Right. Right. Where'd you go get that from, Laverne?
Vern. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so did you keep milk cold in there, or did you?
Well,
did you
what
do
we
that?
had was we had a milk cooler outside, and the water would run through there constantly. So then our milk really stayed cold.
So that was because you milked cows?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So is that the type of farm that Grandpa had? He had a dairy farm?
Well, it wasn't really a big dairy farm yet. They had hogs, they had chickens, they had a little bit of cattle to sell, and I don't know, I think we milked about 18 cows. It was quite a few.
Did you milk them all by hand?
Yeah.
Oh,
Not
so
just me, but,
who was always out there helping?
oh, we had to take turns.
So what was it like when you had to butcher your meat?
We had a canner.
Oh, you canned it.
Yeah.
So describe what it was like. So
Well,
Grandpa had a cow.
Yeah, my dad had a cow that he would kind of especially fatten up to eat, and then he would we would butcher him on Monday.
How did
Kill
you
the animal.
how did you kill the animal?
I think they shot him. I don't know. I never seen it.
Don't they have to drain the blood? How did they do that?
Yeah, they cut their throat.
Yeah, but how did they get him up?
Oh, they had a big like a pulley like this. It went out like this, and then they would hang the hog and the cow in there.
Okay. So you did it all, both a hog and a cow in one day, or?
Yeah, well, they would kill it in one day, and they would skin it, and stuff like that. But then we left it hang overnight. We'd always do it when it was cold, so it could cool off. The meat could cool off,
Right.
and then the next day we'd start cutting. And
Is there usually a big group of you, or was it just your family?
just our family.
So then did you cut the meat too and everything?
Oh yeah, cut it in little inch pieces.
And then you canned it all?
Yeah,
So like from a cow, how many quarts would you get?
maybe 80 or 90. And then, of course, we got some hog meat too.
Right.
And
And then what, did you
Then
take
they-
those bones and,
yeah, well, they'd cut the dried beef out, and then we'd put that in salt water,
yeah?
and so that had to stay in there for 3 weeks, I think. I'm kind of guessing. I don't know.
Yeah.
And we would sometimes we would fry the pork chops, and they would put them in lard after they were fried, and the lard would get,
Right, seal it.
yeah. So then, but then we always had to eat that before it got too warm.
Okay.
And
And you just warmed it up in the pan.
yeah,
When they said they took all the bones and stuff and cooked that up, is that how you made balkanbrai?
yeah.
So how did they make balkanbrai?
in a big wash tub.
And what would they do? They
Oh,
cook it
that was
outside? Or?
That was the last day. It took all week to get that done. And then, well, you put flour in that. First you cooked it good and proper and took all the meat off and ground it up by hand. And then and the liver and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And then we would, they'd mix spices and flour and stuff in there. And there was a lot of juice that came off of that meat.
Right.
Because we put water on there and we'd use that and thicken that with flour.
Right. And then how did you preserve that vodka brine?
Then we would put, my mom would maybe have an old sheet or something and they'd make like tubes. And then we'd put the Balkanberry in there. Then they'd tie that shut and put it in a wash boiler and cook it some more. Had to cook 3 hours.
And then what?
Well, then we hung it up like we had it was kind of cold at that time. You ate it before it was hot.
Oh.
And then we had a storeroom upstairs and we hung it in there. Like we'd make some bologna, we'd hang that in there too. And our dried beef, we'd hang that in there too.
So what'd you do for meat in the summertime then? You'd eat your canned meat?
Canned meat. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes before it got very hot, maybe you'd butcher another hog and then can that.
Okay.
So
what was it like? How old was Grandpa, or how old were you when Grandpa was diagnosed with MS, and how old was he?
he was about 32. It was when Garrett was a baby.
Okay. So how did that change your life?
Well, that was just, seemed like it was in the spring and in the fall he would notice more that he couldn't walk.
Yeah.
And then,
So then would he always hire a hired man?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So and then what? So did you girls help too?
Yeah, we had to do we always had a lot of chickens. Had to feed them and get eggs, and we had to get eggs at noon and at night.
Did they have a chicken coop, or were they wild? Did they free range?
Chicken coop. Mm-hmm. But they could walk outside.
Right.
Later on, we locked them up.
Right. Did you have to have any problems with animals getting the chickens?
No, because we always had to close the door at night and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And in the fall, you had to catch them out of the trees. If you raised little ones, then you had to get them out of the trees.
Okay. That was
Yeah.
hard.
Oh man, we hated that job.
Why?
Well, we had to carry them to the hen house and and that took everybody and then some.
So, Mama, you talked about one of the big changing things in your life was what? What was the biggest change in your life?
You mean like electric and phone and
Said
stuff?
Confession of faith.
Confession of faith was my big change.
And what describe what that was like?
Well, I was picking corn in the field and I thought, I have to make this my life,
What did you mean, make what your life?
that I would be a Christian. And I had to accept the Lord. And I called my parents out when I came home. And,
So you were in the field picking corn,
yeah,
and then how did that go? What did you just feel like? What did you feel like?
I felt like the Lord was talking to me.
Yeah,
And I prayed right there.
right on. You got on your knees in the cornfield.
Yeah.
So, and you asked. Then what did you ask?
I asked the Lord to be with me, to be with me, and show me the way to go.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing in my life.
Right. And then you walked home.
Yeah. Then I went home. The day was over, and then I went home. And I told my parents that. And so then they said, well, we had to go with Sister, and do all that. So we did.
And so you went to the consistory, and would describe what that was like.
Well, when my dad took me, he says, now, he says, what do you really believe? And then he said, do you think you're not gonna sin anymore? I said, no. And he said all the time, well, that was good. And I think they were really happy that I.
So did he say that to you in the car on the way over there?
Oh, we did that at home already. And they were very happy that I was
Yeah.
doing that.
And you were the oldest, so this
Yeah.
was their first child that did that.
I know. And it just seemed like that was a big thing.
That's right. So they went to the consistory. What was that like going? You said it was a dirt floor?
Well, it was back there by where the furnace was a dirt floor.
In what church? Where was
Steve
it?
Farm Church. And, oh, I don't know, there was, let's see, yeah, then Bertha Koenen also made confession of faith. And of course, I didn't know she was going to do that, but then we did together.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we did.
And that was Bertha. What was her married
Bosch,
name?
her maiden name was Koenen, but she was married to a Bosch later on.
Okay. So were you? How many consistory members were there?
The whole consistory was there.
And what'd they ask you?
I can't really exactly say. I just don't remember exactly what they said, but I know that they asked me different questions. But
Did you have to stand up in church too?
oh
then?
yes, we had to stand up in church.
And then they asked you more questions.
Yeah, and then we said yes, we believe.
Okay.
And that was all there was to it, you know. But like now, I think it's so much more. Of course, we were getting catechism, but I think like now, they get the catechism and they study that, and you know, it's a little different.
Right.
So,
You didn't have catechism like every week.
well, we had catechism every week, but it wasn't always studying exactly the catechism.
Oh.
We studied the Bible and other things like that, but
Okay.
we did study the catechism, you know.
So was that in addition to your youth group?
No, this was
That was together.
That was together.
Okay. When was that usually?
It was always all winter, just like having catechism, you know.
Yeah.
We went every
At
week.
night.
Yeah, we went every week and didn't think of missing.
Right.
We didn't think of not studying
Right.
because you didn't want to come there like a dummy.
Right. So you had you had your profession of faith in church,
Yes.
and then did they have like a lunch afterwards or dinner?
No. You didn't celebrate like that at all.
Right.
No.
So you said that was your biggest changing event. You've never forgotten that, obviously.
I've never forgotten that.
Do you remember when Dad did
Yes.
that?
Dad, we were married and he did it before he went overseas when he came home on furlough.
Oh, okay.
And then we were married
Right.
and he did it.
Right after the wedding, then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He, sorry. I don't know. Now, Meredith, quit laughing. I was happy too that he could do that, you know, and I was happy.
Right. So what did what do you remember? Did he ever tell you what made him?
No, not really, but you know, it was wartime, and they really were really Christians, you know, men that really
Right.
lived that life.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, and it was important.
Right. Exactly. What made you and Dad decide to send the kids to a Christian school?
Well, both of my parents really went to the Christian school, and we were always instructed that that was the thing to do. But where we lived, we couldn't go to the Christian school because there wasn't any. We were too far. We lived like 7.5 miles from church.
Mm.
And you know, you didn't just drive someplace.
Right.
So, anyhow, we just went to catechism, and I went to Girls Society, and like you have Calvinettes now,
Right.
and that was about it. That's all you got away.
Right. So what was it like when when did they have their first cars?
Oh, as far as I know, we always had a car, but there was horse barns, like for them to anybody that came with horses, they would tie them up in a horse barn
Right.
during church, and then after church they'd get them again and
Right.
get ready to go home. But we always had a car.
So so you went to school? What town did you go to school in?
Went to a country school,
So it was a one room schoolhouse?
one room schoolhouse, and sometimes we only had 5 kids. It was a very small school.
So who all went? You and Jen and Hen go together?
Yeah, we did.
And Garrett later on?
I never went to school with Garrett, but then he was younger than me. So,
Right.
yeah,
So how did you get to school?
walk.
And how far was it?
Only half a mile.
And who was your teacher? Do you remember?
We had one. Our first teacher was Miss Harriet Volbat, and then our second teacher was Ethel Volbat, her sister, and the last one was Miss Cross.
Was she crossy?
She was cross. She came to school and she said, "My name is Miss Cross, but I'm not as cross as my name is." And she was the biggest crab out.
So how many years did you go to school?
8.
Okay.
That's all.
And then when you got married, you went back to school
Yeah.
for your GED, right?
Yep.
So you and Dad both, right?
Yes. We did.
Good, good. But you never took your test.
No. Well, I took part of it, but then we were moving and I couldn't get going.
Yeah.
And Dad didn't take his either. But we really could have had it, But that was just something we failed in.
What kind of lunch did you carry to school?
Oh, a sandwich with, a lot of times we had a lot of dried beef. We had a slice of dried beef on it. But we didn't appreciate it. And sometimes we just had jelly, and sometimes it was peanut butter.
What was your favorite lunch?
Oh, there was really, in school, we would make, the teacher would take, or the parents would bring some hot lunch. And they'd maybe bring a gallon of potatoes, and then the teacher would boil that. And then we ate that. Everybody ate some of that. Or we'd have soup, or somebody would bring something else. I mean, it was always quite a variety.
Right.
So, but it was quite a deal to bring that. We had a gallon syrup pail, and that's what we brought the potatoes in, and took the pail home again. And,
What'd you carry your lunch to school in?
oh, little syrup pail, the little smaller one.
Right. So you had a sandwich, and what else? Did you have fruit?
Oh, not always, but we usually had an apple or orange or something. Not so many oranges. Maybe a banana. And, oh, that's about it.
Was it hard to get fruit?
Well, yeah, we didn't have no place to keep it, And we had, like, if we had cake at home, we could have a piece of cake or a cookie. So that was lunch.
They didn't have potato chips.
No potato chips. Then when we went to school, there was also kids that would get toast. We could never figure out how they had toast. And, well, they had toasters at home. We didn't have a toaster. I didn't know what a toaster was. And then they told us how to put it on a stick, and you could push it in the stove, and toast it. Oh, that was good. That was so good.
So, when you had your lunch, wasn't there some time in your life that then you would take stuff to school, but you were ashamed to take that, but you liked it?
Well, it wasn't really the lunch. It was, we were studying health. We had to tell them what we had for breakfast, and it had to be a healthy breakfast. Well, we didn't know what to say when we had ring bologna,
Ring bologna?
or no, a bologna.
Balkenbrai.
Balkenbrai, yeah. We didn't know what to tell them. Well, we'd make up already. We was going to say the same thing, so we had bologna. Morning bologna. That's what we had. And the teacher didn't know what morning bologna was.
So you girls would make that up on your way to school?
Yeah. We had to really pump her out of that. She'd tell the right thing.
Why? She didn't like to lie?
Well, she was little,
Oh, yeah.
She'd always tell her exactly what we had.
How come you were never like to say that you had Balkenbrai?
Oh, I was Dutch.
And you didn't want to be Dutch?
Oh, no, not really.
Were the Dutch kind of looked down on?
Oh, I don't know. It was just our idea, I guess. I don't think they were.
Were the other people around you more German, or?
They were all Germans and English.
Okay.
From England.
So they never ate that kind of food, you thought?
Yeah.
You didn't really know for sure, but you just made that up, huh?
Yeah.
So did you have recess during school, or how long was school?
We had an hour at noon, and in the wintertime when it was real cold, we only had a half hour. And then we had recess, which was 15 minutes.
What?
We couldn't do much in 15 minutes.
Did they ever call school off because of bad weather and snow?
I can't remember that, if they did or
You
not.
remember walking back and forth in a snowstorm at all?
No. If it was a snowstorm, I guess we didn't go.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think we did.
Did the teacher live right by the school?
Well, she stayed with board by, there was a farm place right across the road from the school. And she stayed there.
So, Mom, tell me a little bit more about when you were growing up as a little girl. What was life really like?
Oh, I can remember one time my mom was washing in the wash house. It was not in the house. Anyhow, Jen, she had cut her finger or something, and she fainted. And so I ran out to my mom, and I said, she just died. I said, she...
Oh, no.
And so then...
How old was she?
Oh, I don't know how old we were. I can't remember that. But anyhow, my mom came running to the house, and she had fainted.
You thought she died.
Yeah. Well, I had never seen that before.
And did she cut her finger on?
I think it was just a paper cut, but you know how they can bleed.
Yeah.
You
Was
know.
it the blood that made her pass out?
I guess
Just
so.
seeing that?
I think so. But anyhow, that was quite a deal.
Oh, what else do you remember about growing up?
One time my mom got gassed with the wash machine. They were washing in the porch, and they had a car outside where they had a belt on it, on the wheel, and that's how the wash machine ran.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she got gassed from that smoke that was coming in the house, through that little hole.
Oh,
So she fainted. She was really sick. And then, of course, I was a little kid, but I was just afraid she was going to die.
you saw her?
Yeah.
That was in the wash house?
Well, it was right by the house. It was in the porch. That was in the
Okay.
porch, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then I remember, it was time to go to school the next day, and I didn't dare to go to school because I was afraid she was going to die.
And how old was she? Were you?
I don't know how old I was. I just really don't remember. I was little yet, I know.
Yeah.
I went to school, but
Right.
I can't remember.
You were afraid, huh?
Yeah. Well, that was a horrible thing for a kid.
What was the first person that died that you remember?
Oh, I don't remember. But I remember that when, with that tornado, then this girl, Bosch, died, that little girl. Oh, that really struck me.
And how old was she?
She was like 2 or 3.
Mm.
But
And how old were you about?
I was about 10 then, because
Oh.
it was when Garrett was a baby.
Okay.
But I can remember going to that funeral. Oh,
Oh, I bet that was sad.
that was sad. And it was sad.
Mm-hmm.
And the mother was in the hospital because she had a broken leg, besides being pregnant.
Mm.
And
Oh.
so that was really hard on them.
Yeah.
People. It was terrible hard.
Oh.
But then she was hurt internally, and then I think it would be nowadays they would know a little bit how to correct that a little bit more.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
that was sad.
Wow. So when they had, what else do you remember about growing up? About the work that you had to do?
Oh, we had a. Let's see. I can't even remember. I can remember picking beans and stuff like that. You know.
How did you pick beans?
Just pick them?
By hand?
Yeah.
Like soybeans?
No, just
Oh,
regular
beans
green
in the garden.
Yeah, in the garden. You know. And then when we were a little older, we had to go out and chop cockleberries.
Mm. Yeah.
And that was a job.
That was no fun.
No, that was no fun. We hated that job.
Yeah.
I was the only one in my grade.
You were the only one in your grade?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, that goes on the video every time you do that.
Sorry.
What are 5 words you would use to describe your relationship with your mother, and 5 to describe your relationship with your father? So just 5 words. 5 words that you would describe your relationship with your mother.
I had very good relationship.
No, I know that, but what are 5 words? Just 5 words. You don't have to put them in a sentence.
Good. Can't say I ever argued with her. She taught me how to do different things, like sewing and stuff. That's all I can think of.
Were you close?
Huh?
Close?
Yeah.
Were you real close? Did you confide in each other a lot?
Yeah.
Now, what are 5 words to describe your relationship with your dad?
It was good. And I didn't want to do anything wrong because I sure didn't want to get a scolding.
Why? Did he give you spankings or just scold you?
No, he scolded us.
So you respectful?
Yeah. I was very respectful because he was my dad.
What else? 2 more words.
I just can't think of anything. He was very kind. He's soft-hearted.
Yeah.
So
Was your mom was your dad more soft-hearted than your mom?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
She was the one that kind of carried the stick.
Well, I don't know. I can't remember getting a licking or anything.
Did any of the other kids ever get a licking?
Well, they might have. I can't remember.
What about Garrett?
Well, he was a little rascal.
He didn't get a licking?
Oh, he maybe did, but I can't remember him.
Yeah.
I just can't. I remember when he fed a kid chocolate at school, and he told him it was chocolate candy. You know, they fed him this X-Lax.
Oh, he fed him
chocolate.
X-Lax and it was chocolate?
Yeah, they told him it was chocolate. Oh, I'll never forget that.
What happened?
Well, his dad came, and it was at night. We had a big gate on the yard, and he couldn't get that open, and he was stomping around there, and he was so mad. And Garrett had gone to bed already because I guess he knew that he was going to get it. And I don't know what happened, but my dad went up there.
To the bedroom?
Yeah.
How many bedrooms did you have in the house?
Oh, 3.
So you girls were all in one bedroom?
Yep. And my folks slept in the one downstairs, and Harry Man slept in the other one.
No, where'd Garrett sleep then?
You know, I often think about that. I think he must have slept with the Harry Man. I really don't know. That's all.
Interesting.
Yeah. He might have slept in the hallway, too, that we had a bed in the hall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think maybe he slept there.
What do you think of the television when you first heard of it?
Oh, we thought it was awful.
Why?
Oh, it was take everything away. And it did stop the reading and stuff like that.
Yeah. So tell us about the first time you got a television.
When President Kennedy got shot. And then we came home from church and turned the television on, and there seen the guy shoot him. Or that somebody shot the guy that...
Right. That
Thought-
assassinated Kennedy.
Yeah.
And then what?
Well, then we just rented it. We weren't going to keep it. But then, I don't know. Other people all had televisions, so we finally had one too. And of course, us kids thought it was wonderful.
Tell the story of when you and Dad first got the black fan.
Oh, we went to town. We would rent a locker for vegetables and our meat. We'd had a locker instead of a deep freeze. But we had to go to town and get so much meat and so much vegetables and stuff out of there. But then if we raised peas, sugar peas, they were so much better froze than what they were canned. So we were going to bring them to Laverne here. Well, we didn't want to take our car because our car would stop every time if it got warm or something, and you had to wait for it to start again. And it was a hot old day. I remember it was really hot. And so then we took the folks' car, and here that stopped. We were almost home, but we carried the fan home and left the rest of the stuff in the car.
How far from home were you?
Oh, about a quarter of a mile, not so far.
So you had already dropped off all the vegetables?
Yeah, we had brought that all to the locker.
So you had to wait till the car cooled off?
Yeah, but then we walked home with the fan and went and sat in front of it. Everybody came over and was sitting in front of the fan. We never had a fan before.
Oh boy. And how far into your marriage was that?
Oh, it had to be the first couple of years that we were married. Well, it was after Dad came home, but I'd say it wasn't maybe the first year he was home.
How much did you have to pay for it?
I don't remember. I'd say maybe like $20 maybe. That's all. I don't really know for sure.
What do you know about how you and Grandpa's family came to the United States?
Well, my mom was born here,
Okay?
and my dad was born in Holland. He was 16.
Okay. Why did they leave Holland?
There was nothing for them to do. Like, they had 4 boys, and there was nothing. There was no way they could start doing anything.
So what year was that? Do you remember about?
At about 1910, I think, or 12.
There just wasn't any work? So he came by himself?
No, they came with the whole family.
Oh, his parents came too.
Yeah, his parents and everything. So,
And then they settled where?
Perkins, Iowa.
Perkins Corner?
Mm-hmm.
On
Not
75
Perkins
there?
Huh?
On 75 there?
Yeah, on 75.
Was that a little town?
No, yeah, Perkins was a little town off of the street, but there was a farm across the road from them that was my mom's place where her parents lived.
Oh,
So they lived across the road from each other.
oh. So that's how Grandpa and Grandma met.
Hmm.
So did Grandma Sprunk's grandparents come over? They immigrated over, right?
They immigrated earlier, but Mom was born in 1998 or something.
Not 1998.
I don't know what year.
1918?
No, not 1918. No. She must have been born in the late 1800s.
Oh.
Yeah. So I could look it up in that book, but I have to look for the book first.
Oh, that's all right. So that's how they met. They were farming right across the road from each other.
Hmm. Well, she was still in school, and my dad went to school to learn the American language.
Mm. So how did Grandpa's or Dad's parents come across? Were they born here?
No, they came across too with their family.
Did they land on Ellis Island?
Yeah. Hmm.
And why did they all settle in the Midwest?
I think that they knew some people there
Hmm.
because somebody had to sponsor them.
Oh, to come over?
Yeah. Hmm.
Oh, okay. How did they get the money to come over?
Well, like my dad's parents, they owned a farm, and they sold that.
Oh, okay.
That's how they came. And I don't know how my mom's parents, how they did that. I don't know. I don't know so much about them.
Hmm. So, Michelle wants to know, why did you not teach your children Dutch?
It was a lot easier to speak American than Dutch.
So, when you came to the United States and you went to church, wasn't there a Dutch-speaking minister?
Yes, it was all Dutch. We had church morning and afternoon, and it was all Dutch. But it was hard for us to understand it because we spoke American at home.
So
And then-
your parents went to that Dutch-speaking.
Oh yeah, we went. We had to go regardless. But we couldn't.
So then they gradually started changing to English?
Well, then they started changing to American, and then first it was like one service a month, and then pretty soon it was like more and more. And there was some prunes too, because there was a Ed Baker. The boys would sit in the back of church a lot of times, and then they had voting. And he voted for Dutch because he didn't want to go to church.
Oh, so was that a Reformed church?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So when did you switch from the Reformed to the Christian Reformed?
Well, the Reformed church in Steen is a little bit different than another Reformed church. We had Psalter hymnals, and they had a Christian school at one time, and it was just a little bit more. I think that was kind of a rival between having a Christian Reformed church and a Reformed church.
So then when you moved to Hardwick, then did you change?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then you started going to church in Edgerton?
Mm-hmm.
So what year did you guys move from Steen to Hardwick?
Steen to Hardwick? Well, we didn't really live in Steen. We really lived by Beaver Creek and
Oh,
Hills.
okay.
So we farmed 4 years when Dad came home, and then we went to Hardwick.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
How did Dad get the money to buy the farm?
He didn't buy the farm. Oh, Dad? Well, we borrowed it from Growassink. And I was gone to to Virginia to see Garrett. And Jen and I, we drove and the folks went along. But my dad was already not feeling good. He had cancer. But he didn't feel good. He didn't know he had cancer yet. So then we were on that trip, and while we were gone, then he talked to Gort Wassink, and Gort Wassink said, yeah, he could do that. So he borrowed us $10,000.
And that bought the whole farm?
No, that bought just the down payment. Then we had didn't take us so long to pay for it, but then we bought some more land from, what was those people's name right next to us? I can't think of their name right now, but anyhow, he was going to sell his farm, so he came to the dad in the barn at night. He was milking, and he says, well, I'm going to sell the farm. I'll give you the first chance. So we did buy it.
How much did you have to pay? Do you remember?
I don't remember if it was $275 the way it seems to me, but I don't know if that's right or not.
For the whole farm?
No, for acre.
An acre.
An acre.
$275?
Yeah.
Do you remember how much you sold it an acre for?
No, I don't really remember. I know we did good. Because we first kept that farm that we bought second time after we were in town.
So what were 3 outstanding things that you could say made your faith in Jesus so strong?
Well, my parents were very devoted. They didn't miss nothing.
Right. That was one thing.
I don't know, we always had read the Bible 3 times a day by the table.
Right.
And then we had to answer questions what they read.
Yeah. But why is your faith so strong?
I guess it's the Lord working in me.
Yep. What did you do to stay rooted in the Lord?
It just was no other way. There was no way that you could do that without.
Is there an event that took place in your life that you would say really, besides, your first profession of faith, but that really drew you close to the Lord?
Well, I think like even Dad being in the service, really made you depend on the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. How were you able to make meals, sew clothes, do chores, garden, keep a house, and still stay so beautiful?
I don't know if I'm very beautiful. It was hard work, I'll tell you that.
Yeah? What was a typical day on the farm like?
I remember getting up at 4:45, make coffee, and the kids would hope that he drank 2 cups instead of 1. And then they'd go to the barn.
What was your favorite way of waking up the kids?
Rise and shine.
And?
Up and up and away.
How about boots in the saddle?
Get going. Put on your boots and get going.
So then you got everybody up, and then did you go out and milk the cows too?
Well, I did once in a while, but that was not a steady job for me. I had baby chicks and had to go feed them and see if the brooder was going and
So did Dad milk the cows by himself then?
well, as soon as the kids were, when we had a hired man, a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So
And then when you had to milk the cows, did you always have machines to milk them, or did you milk them by hand ever?
well, when we first moved to Hardwick, we only had about 3 cows, and one of them died. So then we only had 2. But anyhow, we must have got a machine pretty quick. I can't remember just when, but
Did Dad build the milk house?
Yep.
And so
59. In 59, he built the Mill Scouts.
oh, okay. So that was pretty modern then.
That was really modern because I remember we came out here in 59. We took a trip, took the boys along.
California. To
What?
California.
Yes, and then John says, "Well, that parlor, you'll never like that." He says that'll ruin all your cows and this and that. And he still had milkers milking by hand. Well, anyhow, we decided we were going to do it anyway, and we did it, and it was a good deal. And it
Yeah.
didn't take long, and he had milk machines too.
So you would do the chickens. You were in charge of the chickens?
Yeah.
And what else did you all have on the farm?
That I can garden.
Yeah, you had a big garden.
Yeah, a big garden.
How did you water the garden and the lawn when it was dry?
Well, I'll tell you, first we had to be really careful with water because we didn't have very good water. You know, there's good water right by the house, but that was not enough to water garden with. So then, about later on, we dug another well by the river, and then we pumped that. And there was times when we had
Irrigation.
irrigation, and then we pumped that over the garden too.
And how'd that smell?
Oh, that was okay. That was river water, and that was clean. I know what you're thinking
Not
about.
from
but,
what I remember.
but it was clean though. It was never dirty looking or anything.
It always stunk like dead fish the next day.
Well, it wasn't bad.
So why did you choose that land and that place by Hardwick, do you think?
Oh, we couldn't afford a real fancy place. We couldn't afford that for anything.
But you had the river running through it. That was pretty good then,
Well, some people thought the river was bad, but it wasn't for us.
right? Because you got to irrigate and
Hmm.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So what else did you and Dad raise for animals?
Well, first when we started, we had hogs, but we soon got rid of them. We had more cows, and we did. Once in a while, we'd fatten some cattle, but not often.
Did you have tractors and stuff right away?
Yes.
Where'd you get those from?
He bought them. He bought a brand new Farmo.
Where'd he get the money for that?
Well, we sold our stuff back to my dad again, and we had some money from that. We brought a third interest into the farm.
Of your dad?
Yeah, not to
Oh.
farm really, but the stuff on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he bought a Farmall tractor?
Yep.
And then what about the corn pickers and all that?
Well, that came slowly on, you know, one
You-
by one you buy. One time I know he bought a new corn planter, and he says, "Well, I guess I will never buy another corn planter. Use this one all the time." Well, and he used to use them for years, but then pretty soon 4-rows came out. It was a 2-row, and then 4-row planters came, and bigger planters all the time. Now I don't know how many rows they have.
Right.
20 some maybe, I don't know.
So why did he quit farming?
Well, the boys didn't want to farm, and he always had trouble with his back. So he went to the field to plow, and he had such a backache. He came home and he says, "I'm going to sell the farm." So we did.
That was in the spring that he made up his mind then? Or in the fall?
And let's see, when did he do that? I think in the fall. In the fall.
So when you had what was it like when you had your other babies? Were they all in the hospital?
Yeah.
So how long did you have to stay in the hospital for them?
Oh, 4 or 5 days.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What was it like when Marquet was born?
Well, it was,
Okay, go ahead.
she got sick, you know, I mean, I believe, well, she was born 1st of April, and then Ascension Day was in 1st of June or something, I can't remember. But then she got blue of that water, because the water had too much,
Nitrogen.
yeah, nitrogen in it. And then we took her to the doctor, or we first called the doctor. He says, well, if she's still blue in the morning, bring her in. Well, Dad says, I'm not going to wait till morning. So we went in, and then they asked me for the formula, and I says, well, if she's turning blue of the water, why give her that formula? Oh, yeah. Well, then they went back and they made some. And then the next morning, the doctor said, we better take her to Sioux Falls. Then he said to us, can you imagine this? If you can't, can you drive your car? Is your car good enough to go to Sioux Falls? Else you can take mine. We said, no, Dad says we can take our car.
And then how long was she in the hospital?
About a week. And you know how much that cost?
No.
$19.
Oh, wow. And that was no insurance either.
No, we didn't have insurance.
So then Twyla came.
That was in a rainstorm. My folks were gone fishing. And Dad was gone to school for, you know, in the army you could go to school.
Right.
So he was doing that.
What was he going to school for?
Well, he did carpenter and stuff like that. And then I didn't know how to get a hold of him.
Hold on. Hi, Mom.
Hi.
Hi. Well, we're continuing our story a little bit about what we had before. So we were talking about when you were younger and when you were growing up and Dad came home from the war. Tell me a little bit about like what it was when to work on the farm and when Mark Kay came along and then Twyla and Dwayne and Verge.
Well, when Marquet came along, Dad had a ruptured appendix. And this was about a week before she was born. And then he came home and he got pleurisy.
What is pleurisy?
It's sort of on her lungs, it's a cold. And then I had Meredith, and when she was 6 weeks old, or it was Ascension Day service, we went to Ascension Day service that night, and I had to take her out of church because she cried, and anyhow, I would get to the folks for coffee, and they said, Jen and Mom came over and they said, you know, your baby looks awfully blue. And we could see it at home. We said that too. She was still crying.
You're talking about Mark Kay now.
Yeah. And then, so we called the doctor, and well, he says, if she still looks blue in the morning, well, you can bring her in. Well, Dad says, no way am I going to wait till morning. So away we went to the hospital in Laverne. We got there, and okay, well, yeah, they knew she looked really blue. So then they said, well, do we have any milk with you? Well, I said, if she's blue of the water, because there was formula made, I said, then why would we give her some more of that milk? Oh yeah, so then they made some formula for her. Then the next morning, she didn't look any better, so the doctor said, we better go to Sioux Falls. So, but he was kind enough, he said, do you think your car will make it to Sioux Falls? Yeah, we thought so. So we went to Sioux Falls and got to Sioux Valley Hospital, and they were waiting at the door for her. And so they took her, and we'd hardly known where she went. And anyhow, then they put her in ICU, and then they gave her oxygen, and she was there about, I'm not sure, she was there about a week or something like that.
Did you stay there overnight with her?
No, I didn't. I went home. And then,
Was that pretty hard to do, to leave her there?
oh yeah, it was terrible hard. Then next morning we went right down there again. And So, but then she was there about a week, I'd say. I'm not quite sure how long that was. Then she came home and she was still, we had to watch her because, you know, if she didn't turn blue. We had to get water from town because that water wasn't any good. That's too many nitrates in the water.
That was that well water?
Yeah.
So did that ever correct itself?
No, we always,
You never drank water from that well?
no, we got it from, it didn't really hurt grown-ups so much, but it was always babies. And different people lost babies with that.
So what was it like when Twyla was born?
Well, then the folks were gone fishing. And Dad was gone to school too. From the Army, you could go to school. And I didn't have a telephone number or anything, but I had to go to the hospital. So finally I called Reese Fexie. They came and got Leroy and Marquet. And then Dad took me in.
Where did you go to the hospital in Laverne?
Yeah. And then it was a big thunderstorm. Well, he had to go home and do chores because the folks were fishing. So she was born about 6 o'clock in the morning. It was thunder and lightning. The lights went off.
Was he there?
Huh?
Was Dad there?
No. He never was there with any babies until, no, none of them. And then she was healthy. And then of course.
So were you living with your folks yet then?
Yeah.
When she was born?
Yeah, she was born in August and we moved that February.
Oh, okay.
And then,
So how many bedrooms did they have at your folks?
well, we were living in that little house. We had one bedroom.
For all 5 of you?
Yeah, Leroy slept on the couch. Marquet was in the crib, and Twyla was a baby. She was in the buggy.
Oh boy.
And
So then you moved to the farm by Hardwick after that?
yeah, and then Leroy got rheumatic fever when he was in the 3rd grade, and Dwayne was a baby.
So what was it like when Dwayne was born?
It was on a Sunday, and Dad had to go home and do chores again. So he was born while he was gone doing chores. And then,
So what did you think when you were pregnant? You got pregnant with Marquet and Twyla and Dwayne and then Verge and Meredith. Were you excited in those when you found out?
oh yeah, we were kind of excited. We liked that. And then when Virgil was born, it was the only one that ever went had to say, hurry up and get there. And we got there, and he was born about an hour later.
Oh boy.
And he was 9 pounds and 4 ounces, I'll never forget that.
Well, what about when I was born?
Well, then that was on a Tuesday. And then you kids were home and you couldn't get in the hospital because they didn't allow kids under a certain age to get in there. So I remember asking your kids what name we should name you. Oh, they all wanted Meredith. So, okay, we named you Meredith.
So what was it like having 6 kids on the farm, trying to have dairy cattle, and what was that life like?
Busy, really busy. And I always had baby chicks in the spring, you know. And one time, the brooder, crazy things. They were burning around the bottom, but it wasn't really working too good. So I lifted the lid, and then it exploded, and it started burning good. But I scared anyhow, and I called Dad from the barn, and he came and looked. I was in the barn while he was looking, and it was okay. So that's what he had.
So you raised your own chickens,
Yep.
and you would kill them. How would you kill a chicken? Describe how you kill the chickens.
Chop their head off with an axe.
Where did you do that? Up against an old dead tree stump?
Oh, we had a block of wood or something out by the machine shed.
What
We
what
didn't do it
happened
like
when
that,
what happened when they were older and you didn't have an old axe? What did you use?
We had an axe all the time we were there. And so, and then we had a big garden, of course. And one time we had, if you don't believe it or not, we had 52 pints of shelled out peas. And I shelled them out in the wash machine. I washed them and I put them through the wringer, and you put them in hot water and put them in cold water right away. And then
You put the peas through the ringer?
yes, then the peas.
Didn't they get smashed?
No, the peas fell out of the shell and they landed in the mush machine. And then we took them out of there and we froze them. We had a freezer by that time, so we could freeze them.
Huh.
That was a lot of peas, I'll tell you that. I never planted that many peas again.
What else did you plant in your garden?
Beans, cabbage, lettuce and radishes and those kind of things. I never planted one time I planted peanuts. They grow under the ground.
Mm-hmm. Did
And
they turn out?
I actually had peanuts. And you roast them in the oven.
What about the potatoes
Oh, we had them out in the field. They were in it.
and sweet corn?
Yeah, that was out in the field, but then you always had to be careful that the coons didn't get it. One time I went out there to look at the corn, and if it was ready to freeze, yeah, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow, nothing was left, and in the morning. We went down there with a bunch of boxes and baskets, and there wasn't any ear corn left. Coons had ate it during the night.
So what'd you do? Did you get it from somebody else?
I guess I got some corn from somebody else. I can't even remember who it was or anything. But anyhow, that was disappointing.
So what was it like? How did you decide that you wanted to send all your kids to the Christian school?
We had that decided before we moved there.
Was there a Christian school already in Edgerton?
Yes. But when we got there, we had to bring them 1.5 miles to the bus.
How much was tuition? Do you remember?
I don't remember that exactly. It wasn't near like it is now, I know that. But I remember getting Leroy from the bus one time, and it was kind of hot, like it is now, And then he came home and he says, I thought I was going to melt like that black sample. Because he had the story about little black sample. They went around the pool and the butter. I thought I was going to turn into butter.
Oh. So what about Marquet and Twyla and Leroy when they were to school? Were they pretty close?
Yeah.
Did they fight a lot?
No, I can't say that they did. And Virgil, when he was home yet, he was 5 years older than you, and he was a good baby watcher. He could just talk to you, and you liked that when he was there talking to you.
Oh, so what do you remember? What else do you remember on the farm or the boys growing up?
Oh, they were always monkeying on turning something apart. I remember one time Dad just had that John Deere overhauled, and here they started turning it off, different parts off. Little, I don't remember what they were called, but Dad was so disgusted. He just had it fixed.
So did they have to put it back together, or did Dad?
No, Dad did. But they couldn't monkey around there no more. But they like to monkey with tools and stuff like that.
So what was it like when you living by the river? What did you do in the wintertime?
Oh, that didn't bother in the wintertime.
Okay.
And it was always, we'd tell you kids, don't go to the river. No, I wouldn't do that. But the minute we got company, the company always wanted to go to the river, and they didn't realize how dangerous it was,
Did you ever have any close calls at the river?
No. Then on Saturday we would drive the car into the river that wasn't very deep there. And then we washed the car, and a car was always shining because that was such nice water. So that was a good thing.
I remember that.
Yeah. So
So what kind of animals did Dad raise on the farm?
first when we got there, he had pigs and we had a couple cows. And then one of them died too. We had 3 cows and one of them died. And we had a few fattening cattle, but we didn't have so much at first, you know. It's too costly.
What was it like when Dad made the decision to put the milk house in?
Oh, that was in '59. And we decided to put the milk house up. And we had Lawrence Swartz came and built with his son. And then we went to California. That was the first time Dad had been back to California. Because we had our car in California on blocks. And then when Bernard was stationed in California, around that area, I don't know exactly where. But anyway, they drove the car home. So,
After World War II?
yes.
So you didn't get that car home until 1959?
Oh yeah, we had home for that. We had he came home in October, and we didn't have that car till I think February. And then we just had a ride with the folks, and that was the only thing you could do.
Right.
You didn't just, like nowadays, they would have all flown to California right away and go get it, but not then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
So what else? Why did you decide to sell the farm?
well, Dad went to the field to plow, and he always had a lot of trouble with his back, you know, and wasn't ready when he came home from the service, you know. And there was times he'd be laying on the floor and he couldn't get up. So then he went to the field, and then the boys didn't want to farm. They wanted to go to school. Virgil was gonna, that was his last year of high school, Virgil's. And then Dwayne was going to meat cutting school, and they didn't want to farm. And Leroy didn't want to farm, he was in college. So then he come home out of the field and he says, I'm gonna sell the farm. Oh, I thought, how are we gonna live? But anyhow, we decided to sell it, and we did. We first sold the cattle on a sale, and then we sold the machinery and stuff another day. Because we had quite a bit of machinery.
So describe the day of the sale, the farm sale.
Rained and froze ice, and it was cold and windy.
What was the date?
It was in February, but I've got the sale bill, but I don't know what. And then that was when, how was that again?
Teresa
We had
Lee.
sale. And anyway, oh no, this was when Teresa was a baby. And Uncle Pete young, he was walking through the closet all the time. There was wine in there. He would take a drink of wine and then every time again.
And he had a cigar in his mouth.
Yeah.
And he went to where Teresa was, and she wasn't supposed to be around smoke.
No. So,
And did you get mad at him?
well, I said he couldn't smoke in there. No, he wasn't smoking in there. But then, you know, once you have it in the house, it's in the house. So that wasn't good.
No. So you moved to town, and why did you start the store, the fabric store?
Well, then Dad first he started selling investments or whatever it was, but that was not really quite down his alley. And then there was a lady by Rock Valley that had a fabric like I had. So he stopped there and just looked, and then, well, she went to Minneapolis to get material, and he wanted me to do that. But I had after we went to town, and I had already taken a nurse's course. And then I started that store. And then first in the basement and then uptown. It didn't work very good in the basement because everybody comes strolling way through your house and just didn't work.
Even though you had a separate walkout.
Uh-huh.
So you'd moved it downtown.
Yep.
You had that until 1976,
Something like that. Hmm.
and then Dad sold feed.
Yeah, he sold feed. After he got, he did a little bit of that investment selling, and then there was an ad in the paper for a feed salesman. And of course, he kind of knew feed because, in the first place, when he went to agricultural school, they learned a lot about feed, rations and stuff like that. So then he started selling feed, and he liked it. He really did. He did good.
So what was some things that happened in the store that you remember?
I don't know. I can't even think of anything. Sometimes be some kids that come in there and they like to monkey with that thread and it was in a rack. But,
What about Mrs. Beckering?
huh?
Remember Mrs. Beckering coming in the store?
Oh yeah, she always said, "Oh, I'm gonna sneak this in the wash machine." She didn't want to tell him that she had more material. Goodness.
She probably had more material than you had at the store.
She maybe did. She had lots of material. She was a good customer.
So what made you decide to move to California?
Well, we were going back and forth, and it was staying there 4 or 5 months at a time. And I was so sick of it. I said, I'm so tired of going back and forth. And you didn't seem like you belonged to any place. You didn't belong to any church, and it just seemed like it just wasn't right. So I said to Dad, I said, well, I think we should just sell the house and get out here. And we did. So.
Yeah. You moved to California,
And it was a good thing for us because we remodeled 3 apartments, and we did real good. After that, they couldn't do that no more. So I don't know why they were so fussy on that, but I guess they couldn't stand that somebody's making money or something. I don't know. But that was very good for us. It was one of the better things we did.
Good.
So.
So what are some of your things that you would like to tell your children and grandchildren about your life and about the future?
Oh, Dad always went to Men's Society, and I thought that was good because, and I went to Bible study. And I think he thought that was a good thing too because, well, we always saw then the kids first would get catechism in school. You remember that or don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then later on they didn't have that anymore. So then we had to go on Wednesday night. So then you started bowling. You would bowl while your kids were in catechism. So, and Grandma was living in town. So a lot of times I'd go along down there and visit her there.
And didn't you start bowling when you moved to town?
Huh?
Didn't you start bowling when you moved to town?
Oh, I did bowl for a little bit, and that was in the afternoon, but I wasn't very good at it. That one lady, she said to me, she said, "Oh, you can cut material better than you can bowl." You think you're not any good already the way it is, and somebody says that. Well.
Kind of took the zip out of you.
Yeah.
Describe what it was like the first time you water skied, and how old were you?
Oh, I can't remember how old I was, but
62.
was I? I couldn't remember. Anyhow, I tried and tried to get up. Finally, I got up, and that was it. I was so tired. Got done. I never tried again.
Is there something in your life that you wish you would have done?
That I wished I would have done. I wished I would have went right to high school and stuff. I really do. But my dad was crippled, and we had to help him, so I had to stay home that first year. Then Jen was through the next year. She was going to be home. She didn't care much about school. And then, but then you're out of the,
Okay, go ahead.
that you're just kind of out of it, you know. And but I should have went right to school. And there was a lot of them that did too later on, but I didn't. And it was a little bit of a problem because how to get to school, because there was no buses service. Later on there was, but we would have had to stay in town with somebody. We would have had to rent, you know, a room or something, you know. But, so there just didn't seem very possible, you know.
Right. What's one thing in your life that you're really glad that you did?
I don't know. I just learned to sew. I always did like it. And I'd always liked needlework or something like that.
Who taught you to do that?
My mom. Yeah. So, yeah, and I sewed most of the kids' clothes, you know, when they were little. But then later on I didn't. So, but
What other advice would you give to us?
just get all the education you can get. And Dad was very much for education because he was never opposed to that. So that was very good.
So what was life like after Dad passed away?
Very lonely. And I don't know, it's hard to explain. You just don't know what's coming next. Some goofy things happen.
Like what?
Oh, one time my battery was dead in the car. And what did I have to do? I had to go someplace. But then I called up AAA and they came. They had a battery with them and put a new battery in and away I went.
So just you had to take responsibility for doing those things all by yourself.
And Dad was always the one that did that. You know, I should have been doing it, but I didn't. I didn't think it was necessary for me to do that, but I should have.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But
So
it was pretty hard first. You just didn't know. And then, well, when he was really sick, when they were going to take his leg off, then you kind of got to the point where you thought, just take him home. And that's hard.
Right. But he's in a better place.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. You still miss him.
Yeah. Oh, you never get over that. You'll never. Never.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then. Well, first already before that, Mom died, and my dad died in '56. My mom died 10 years later, and Jen got killed the following year.
Do you ever stop missing your mom?
No, never stopped missing her. You always, I don't know, there's always some things that you want to ask her, and she's not there. And that's one thing about Dad. You always think, oh, well, he would be interested in that. I sure would like to tell him that, this or that, you know. Just what happened, or it can be just a frivolous old thing, but anyhow, that was hard.
Yeah.
But
What is something that your mom passed on to you that you just value?
oh, she was pretty neat in her house, you know. She never liked to have anything sit there too long. So, and she liked to sew, she liked to stitch and crochet. She really liked to crochet. So, and she made all us girls a bedspread, you know. And I guess I gave that one to you, didn't I? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, and that was a filet crocheting, you can call it, because it had a pattern in there. I never did that. So, but she did. So,
Yeah, she was always good at that.
yeah, she was good at that.
So what do you think the future holds? What's the next 10 years for you?
I don't think I'll be here.
If you are.
But I am. But I mean, you know, sometimes you think, oh, I don't understand all these things in this world, what's going on, and I think, well, I could just as well go home. Because it's hard to understand, like, even like now with this insurance and stuff,
Right.
you know.
Is it hard to leave that up to somebody else to help you?
Yeah, it's hard, you know, and I always think about, I don't like to keep anybody else busy with my junk, you know, but I need help.
That's right.
I just can't do it alone.
Would you say that's one of your hardest things in your life has always been to ask for help?
It is.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, I guess I'm too independent. I think so, I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, that's a pretty good summary of it. Oh, why do you think you're so independent?
I don't know. I guess I was one that would go ahead and get her done. You know, no monkeying around.
Was Aunt Jen and Aunt Henrietta like that?
Well, Henrietta was more like me. But Aunt Jen was more, she was a steady worker, and she got things done just as much as I did, but she was more calm, you know, she didn't.
Was your mom calm or was she more?
Oh, she wasn't so calm. She had a nervous breakdown once. Yeah. That was when Garrett was a baby. And then, you know, it was real dry years, and my dad had a ruptured appendix, and, you know, it was just nothing wanted to work.
Right.
So, but then he got sick, and of course, yeah.
Was there ever a time in your and Dad's life where you thought that you didn't know where the next paycheck was coming from?
Oh, yes. We sold a cow once to pay tuition, and whatever happened, I still don't know to this day. Dad didn't remember either. But here, he was doing income tax, and here was that check of that cow that we had sold. We couldn't figure out how come we got it paid. We just didn't know. But anyhow.
And you cashed the check?
Sure, cashed the check. I don't think they would do that this day and age because it was a couple years old.
Oh, a couple years old or you mean a year old?
Yeah, maybe a year old. I don't really know exactly. But anyhow, that was that.
Well, it's kind of a miracle.
Yeah, it was. But
So after Dad passed away, you were a widow for a while, and then you met Gordon. Tell a little bit about Gordon.
well, he had a very nice personality. He was really good to me, but we really only lived together 6 weeks. It was 2 months before he died. Just exactly to the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was kind of hard on you.
Yeah, that was hard on me too. You know, it's just like nothing you tried wanted to work. So, and he really didn't hardly have everything moved in, what he wanted, you know.
Right.
So,
Are you ever sorry you did that?
No, I wasn't really sorry, but later on I thought, why did I go through all that, you know? And it was hard for me to decide to go get married.
Mm-hmm.
Very hard. Because I said, I don't know if I can do this.
Right.
It took me a while.
Right.
But
But that was a good thing. It was a blessing.
yeah, he was. He was really good to me. I don't care what anybody says. You know, everybody says he was
Yes.
a nice person.
That's right.
I would give the kids.
What advice would you give to us?
I would say try and get as much education as you can, but also use it in the right way and the right place. And I think that's so important. I wish I could have gone to school, but I didn't. It was a little bit my own fault. I could have gone the next year, but I didn't. So that was my own fault. My parents said I could go, and I don't know how I could have gone because I would have had to stay in town.
Right.
And that would have been hard.
Right.
So, and I liked school. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know that teacher was kind of angry at me that I didn't go to school. She didn't understand my family.
Right.
So,
Right. So what other advice do you have for us besides that?
well, I always think, put God first, me last. And that's so important.
Mm-hmm.
I think we as people don't even, when we're young especially, yeah, we prayed, but it was in a hurry. You know, sometimes we were in a hurry and, well, quick prayer meant, well, what good did that prayer do?
Right.
I think about that so many times. I think, well, how could we be praying? It wasn't good.
Right.
But I know there was one thing that Dad really insisted on. When you kids left for school, reading and a prayer before you left for school after breakfast,
Mm-hmm.
you had to do that. And I think that was a good education. He wouldn't give up on that.
Right.
No, nothing.
Right.
And I think that's so important.
So what is prayer to you?
Prayer to me is talking to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's some things that I think, oh, I ask for so much and then I'm not thankful enough. That bothers me more than anything now, especially when I get older. That really bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you think about these earthly things. You think about, oh, I'd like to go see this, I'd like to go do that. And, what's more important? Really, spend your time in prayer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I wouldn't never go to bed without praying. I could not do that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was even sick and in the home, I couldn't even move, but I think I was praying half the time, you know, just to yourself, you know.
Right. Right.
And I think prayers really has to be important in your life. And what really struck me when you were bringing Adam to school, before you left him off in the car, you had prayer. I thought, now where did she learn that?
Probably from you.
And I just thought that was one of the most important things in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure he never will forget it.
Probably not.
No.
No.
And I just think this day and age, you know, your family is all over, and especially through this education, because you marry different people and education brings you different places. And family life is hard to do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's really hard.
Right.
So, but that's about all I have. I don't really have much else.
If you had to write something or wanted somebody to remember you by, what would you want to be remembered for?
My things about living for Christ, because that is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to go to different Bible studies and stuff like that. And I think even being there, even if I'm not really learning so much that time, other people maybe say, oh, I better do that too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not that I'm doing that for something like that.
Right.
But it's very important.
If
The
I-
life you live is, looked upon more than anything.
Right. If I live to be 90 years old or past that, what advice would you have for me at your age?
Well, I would say don't stay in the work too long. Take your time when you get a little older than what you are now. And if you want to do any traveling, do it. But also never forget the Lord. And always find a church that's important. I know, like Marquet and Dave know too, they're in all kinds of different churches, and they said too is that it's so important to live it's hard to, when you're going back and forth. We noticed that so much when we were going back and forth. It seemed like you had no church home, and that's not good.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you have to have a church home and something to cling on to.
Right.
Yeah.
In today's society and in the churches around us, they talk about, your purpose. What is your purpose? At 90 years old, what do you think your purpose is?
I don't know. I'm sure it's the way you live and other people look. That old lady, she's doing this, and you better be careful what you're doing and what you say. Very important, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You can be saying, oh, I get so disgusted with my church. I don't like that. Well, I think that we better be careful.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful. Because it is important. And it's a time in our life when there is such a big change. So, I think, look, choose the best and best you can do.
That's right.
That's what I think. I don't know. I could be all wrong.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us on your birthday?
Well, always. I just keep saying that, but don't forget to pray. And I always think about that song, Did You Pray or You Left Your Room This Morning?
How does that go?
Oh, I can't just say right offhand, but did you pray before you left your room this morning? And it goes on and on about that. And it really is a beautiful hymn,
What's another one of your favorite hymns?
I like Blessed Assurance, and I also like, there's so many of them. I really, the other day we went to they sang, they always, on Tuesday evenings we have a prayer service, and we sing songs. There's so many of them that I know and I like. I just, it's hard to pick them out.
Is there one that you could sing?
Oh, I'm not a good enough singer.
No, just do it. What's one you could sing?
I would have to have a book. I just would forget. So, but it's hard, especially you're being taped.
What would be one that you would want to sing?
Well, like Blessed Assurance, or there's so many in here. Such a wonderful book. Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood. This is my story, this is all day long. I'm a horse.
That was good. Very nice. Very
Well, there's
nice.
so many songs in here that I love, really.
That's right. That's right. Why do you think the hymns are so important?
Oh, I think they have so much to tell us. They are just, the other day they had singers that come to the home, and they sing, this is my, let's see, blessed story. Let's
This
see.
is my story. This is my song. Blessed Assurance.
No, yeah, they sang that too, but I mean,
I love to tell the story.
I love to tell the story. I couldn't think of it. And Jesus is mine. It's really telling something about your life.
Right.
And I don't know. There's just so many of them. I mean, that I could just.
What's another one you would sing? Can you sing Amazing Grace?
Yeah, I like Amazing Grace.
Okay.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound when saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see.
Mom, I just want to thank you for taking the time to interview. I know there's 1,000 more questions I could ask you, but as a family, we just want to let you know how much we love you and how much we appreciate you for being our mom. We love you very much.
And I want to thank you kids for doing everything what you've done. If it wouldn't be for you, I couldn't be here. Life is so important. And have to keep on praying.
We love you, Mom.
We love you too. I love you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.